You have arrived at a destined moment, one written in the stars long before you were born. This is the rare secret of manifestation, passed through generations and protected for those ready to awaken. As you listen, the veil will lift, and the universe will begin to obey your every desire. The rare secret of manifestation. Introduction. Long before your eyes met these words, they lived in the silence between stars, encoded in moonlit prayers, etched in forgotten scrolls, and guarded by the breath of sages who walked this earth before memory began. These teachings are not new, they are eternal. And now, through divine alignment, they have arrived at your doorstep. This is no ordinary book. What you now hold is a sacred vessel, a cipher entrusted by the universe to awaken a rare truth within you. The law of attraction, as revealed in these chapters, is not merely a technique or idea. It is the hidden rhythm behind all things, the silent architect of existence itself. It pulses through your heartbeat, moves in the tides of your emotions, and listens to the quiet music of your intent. The ancients never sought to command this law, they became it. In reverent stillness, they surrendered to its flow, understanding that manifestation is not an act of will, but a reunion with the source. Their path was not one of control, but of communion. And now, that same path opens before you. To read these chapters is to cross a threshold. You are not simply learning, you are remembering. Remembering who you are, remembering what is possible. This is a transmission, encoded in language, but powered by spirit. It speaks not to your intellect alone, but to the radiant seed of the divine slumbering within you. Each line is a mirror reflecting back the infinite potential of your being. Each chapter is a step deeper into the unseen world where desire becomes reality and thought becomes form. This knowledge has been protected across lifetimes, veiled until the appointed hour. That hour is now. You did not arrive here by accident. The timing is sacred, your readiness precise. You have been summoned, not by chance, but by the ancient call of destiny. The universe does not misplace its invitations. Prepare not just to read, but to remember. Not just to manifest, but to become. Not just to believe, but to awaken. The rare secret is no longer hidden. It has chosen you. Part 1. The Initiation. When the universe whispers your name. Chapter 1. The Lost Traveler and the Hidden Book. In a distant valley where mist-shrouded mountains touched the sky, Eleanor wandered through the narrow streets of a forgotten town. Weary from her travels, she sought refuge in an old bookshop. As she moved between dusty shelves, a leather-bound volume tumbled from above, landing at her feet. The book bore no title, yet its presence commanded attention. When Eleanor's fingers brushed its worn surface, an inexplicable warmth coursed through her being. She knew, without understanding how, that her entire journey had led to this moment. The universe operates through divine timing, orchestrating each moment with infinite precision. You have not stumbled upon these teachings by chance. Just as a flower blooms at its appointed hour, your spiritual awakening unfolds according to the grand design of existence. The very fact that these words now rest before your eyes serves as testament to your readiness. Within every soul lies a sacred timing, a cosmic clock that chimes only when consciousness has ripened. This moment marks your soul's recognition of its own calling. The universe has deemed you prepared to remember what your spirit has always known. Like a master artist who knows precisely when to apply each brushstroke, divine intelligence has brought you to this threshold at the perfect instant. In the halls of an ancient library, Walter spent decades guarding a collection of mystical texts. Year after year, he watched countless visitors browse the shelves. Yet one particular manuscript remained untouched, as if invisible to passing eyes. Walter understood his true purpose, to protect this wisdom until its destined recipient appeared. One morning, a young woman entered, her presence different from all others. Without guidance, she walked directly to the shelf where the manuscript waited. As their eyes met, Walter smiled, knowing his vigil had ended. The text had found its rightful reader. Just as that manuscript waited for its chosen reader, these teachings have waited for you. The wisdom contained within these chapters has traversed centuries, preserved by those who understood its value, until this precise moment when you were ready to receive it. Your presence here is no accident. It is the fulfillment of an ancient appointment. Sacred practice. As darkness falls, light a single candle in a quiet space. Sit in stillness, allowing the flame's gentle dance to quiet your mind. Close your eyes and place your hand upon your heart. In this sacred silence, ask your heart, "Why did I find this now?" Let the first answer that rises from your depths flow on to the chapters of your journal. Trust that this response emerges from the deepest wisdom within you, the part that has always known why this moment was destined to be. Chapter 2. You were chosen before you knew to ask. In a small village where dawn mist clung to thatched roofs, Clara tended to new mothers and their infants. Each morning, as she made her rounds, her eyes drifted skyward, drawn to the wheeling birds above. In quiet moments, visions of soaring through clouds filled her mind, but she would quickly shake them away, chiding herself for such childish fancies. "A midwife keeps her feet on the ground," she would mutter. Yet one spring morning, a white dove landed at her window. Following an impulse she couldn't explain, Clara pursued it through winding streets and flowering meadows until she discovered an abandoned glider port. There, among dust-covered equipment and faded logbooks, she found her true calling, teaching young mothers to pilot gliders, combining her gift for nurturing with her soul's yearning for flight. The desires that stir within you are not random accidents or foolish whims. They are divine messages, carefully planted by the universe as seeds of your destiny. When a persistent longing refuses to be silenced, whether for creation, adventure, healing, or transformation, you are receiving a sacred transmission from the infinite intelligence that orchestrated your existence. These desires were chosen specifically for you, encoded into the very fabric of your being. Think of your deepest yearnings as cosmic homing signals, guiding you toward the fullest expression of your soul's purpose. The universe has not made a mistake in giving you these dreams. You were chosen to carry them, just as a flower is chosen to carry its particular fragrance, or a bird its specific song. In a bustling market town, young Thomas walked through life seeing signs that others missed. Numbers would dance in meaningful patterns, leaves would fall in perfect circles, and clouds would form shapes that spoke directly to his heart. His teachers dismissed his observations as mere daydreams, and his classmates mocked his tendency to find meaning in everything. Yet Thomas continued to follow these mysterious guideposts, recording them in a worn notebook. One day, the recurring pattern of a key led him to discover a hidden compartment in his grandfather's old desk. Inside lay not only a substantial inheritance, but also a letter revealing his grandfather's own gift for reading signs, a legacy that transformed Thomas into a renowned navigator for those seeking their life's path. Just as Thomas trusted his unique way of seeing the world, you must honor the validity of your deepest desires. These longings that you've perhaps hidden away or dismissed as impractical are actually sacred blueprints, waiting to guide you toward your highest destiny. Sacred practice. Take 3 pieces of parchment and write down 3 desires you've kept hidden, dreams you've dismissed as too fanciful or impractical. Place these papers beneath your pillow for 7 nights. Each morning before rising, record in your journal any insights, dreams, or stirrings that have emerged during the night. Watch as the universe begins responding to your acknowledgement of these sacred wishes. Chapter 3. The Law They Tried to Bury. In a sunlit attic filled with dancing dust motes, Franklin brushed cobwebs from a weathered trunk. Inside, beneath layers of forgotten memories, lay a collection of ancient scrolls. As he unfurled them carefully, his hands trembled, not from age, but recognition. The teachings within mirrored passages he'd discovered in his studies of ancient spiritual texts from cultures spanning continents and centuries. These weren't mere coincidences, but evidence of a universal truth that had been whispered through the ages. The law of attraction is not a modern discovery, but an eternal principle as old as consciousness itself. Throughout history, this sacred knowledge has been guarded, suppressed, and hidden by those who understood its power. You have inherited a birthright, the ability to shape reality through the focused power of your consciousness. This truth appears in the earliest Sanskrit texts, echoes through Egyptian hieroglyphs, and whispers from the fragments of long-lost civilizations. Those who would keep you small have worked to obscure this knowledge, knowing that an awakened being cannot be controlled. Yet the truth remains. You are a creator, born with the same force that ignites stars and spins planets. This power has never left you. It simply waits to be remembered. In a garden where morning glories climbed weathered trellises, old Hattie knelt beside her renowned roses, their blooms more vibrant than any in the village. A young girl watched in wonder as Hattie whispered to each flower. "Why do you talk to them?" the child asked. Hattie's eyes twinkled as she gestured the girl closer. "Everything that grows responds to intention," she explained, gently touching a dewdrop. "These roses bloom so beautifully because they know they are loved. Each morning I tell them how magnificent they will become, and they answer with their splendor." The truth reflected in Hattie's garden mirrors your own existence. Every moment of your life, you have been creating your reality through your thoughts, words, and beliefs, whether conscious of it or not. The times of lack were manifestations of doubt. The moments of abundance were births of belief. Now comes the time to wield this power with purpose, to speak your world into being with the same loving intention Hattie gave her roses. Sacred practice. Find a patch of earth where you can stand barefoot. Feel the living energy beneath your feet, connecting you to the same force that grows forests and moves oceans. Speak these words with the authority of one who knows their power. What I speak, I create. Then, with clear intention, speak aloud one thing you wish to grow in your life. Let your words carry the certainty of natural law. Chapter 4. The Ancient Ones Who Knew. In the misty valleys of a forgotten mountain range, Samuel, a wandering scribe, carried scrolls of ancient wisdom. His weathered hands held teachings that had been whispered through generations, preserved by those who understood their sacred power. Each night, beneath stars that seemed to pulse with knowledge, he would transcribe these eternal truths, adding his own revelations before passing them to a single chosen apprentice. Then, like morning dew, he would vanish, leaving only wisdom in his wake. You stand now in a lineage older than time itself. The law of attraction beats at the heart of every spiritual tradition that has touched this earth. It whispers through the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. It echoes in the Vedic understanding that consciousness shapes reality. From the Egyptian mystery schools to the hidden teachings of the Essenes, this knowledge has been carefully preserved by those who recognized its transformative power. This wisdom was never lost. It was protected, waiting for those ready to embrace its truth. You are not discovering something new. You are remembering what your soul has always known. The power to create reality through focused consciousness is your inheritance, passed down through an unbroken chain of mystics, healers, and awakened beings. In a modern apartment overlooking city lights, Lucille woke from dreams filled with strange symbols, intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with meaning. Months later, standing before ancient temple walls in India, her heart stopped. There, carved in stone, were the exact symbols from her dreams. At that moment she understood. She hadn't been dreaming, she had been remembering. Like Lucille, you are not separate from this sacred lineage. The stirrings in your heart, the synchronicities that led you to this knowledge, the inexplicable knowing that rises from your depths, these are not coincidences. They are recognition. Your soul is awakening to its true nature as a creator, as it has done many times before across many lifetimes. Sacred practice. Take a moment of silence and close your eyes. Allow yourself to remember those who helped guide you to this moment of awakening. In your journal, create a sacred record of your spiritual ancestry. Write down the names of teachers who sparked recognition in your soul, books that seemed to speak directly to your heart, dreams that carried messages from beyond, and moments when truth revealed itself to you. This is not a mere list. It is a map of your soul's journey back to its power. As you write, feel the presence of all those who preserved this wisdom so it could reach you now. Chapter 5. The Divine Spark Called Desire. In a small village where time seemed to flow differently, Milton the clockmaker lived in a workshop filled with gleaming gears and delicate mechanisms. Each morning, as dawn painted the sky, he would pause in his work, head tilted, as if listening to something beyond mortal hearing. What others perceived as silence, Milton experienced as a symphony, notes that danced between the ticking of his beloved timepieces. "There is music in everything," he would say, his eyes alight with understanding. "We need only attune ourselves to hear it." Guided by these ethereal melodies, Milton began crafting unusual instruments, combinations of clockwork and strings that seemed to capture fragments of his hidden symphony. At first, villagers dismissed his creations as mere curiosities. But gradually, something remarkable occurred. Those who spent time near his instruments began to hear whispers of the same celestial music that had always called to Milton. You, too, carry within you a divine melody, a calling that may seem inexplicable to others, but resonates in perfect harmony with your soul's purpose. What society labels as wanting is often the universe's way of guiding you toward your authentic path. Your desires are not random impulses or tests of willpower. They are breadcrumbs leading you home to your true nature. In a valley shadowed by ancient peaks, June would wake each morning drawn to a particular mountain she had never visited. Its silhouette haunted her dreams, called to her in moments of quiet. Though she had never set foot on its slopes, something in her bones knew every crack and crevice. When she finally followed this inexplicable longing, she discovered cave paintings that matched the images in her dreams, and understood that her soul had walked these paths before. Like June, the longings that live in your heart are not mere fantasy. They are echoes of soul memory. That inexplicable pull toward certain places, people, or purposes is your spirit recognizing what it has known across lifetimes. Your desires are not obstacles to overcome or temptations to resist. They are sacred signposts pointing toward your destiny. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and place your hand upon your heart center. Feel the steady rhythm beneath your palm, the same rhythm that has carried your soul through countless journeys. In this space of sacred connection, ask yourself, what does my soul ache for? Let the question sink beneath surface wants into the deeper waters of your being. Then, take pen to paper and write without censoring, without judging, for 5 continuous minutes. Let your soul speak through your hand, revealing the ancient longings it carries. Chapter 6. You Forgot on Purpose. In a small seaside town, young Harold possessed extraordinary gifts. He could sense the thoughts of animals, predict weather patterns, and heal withered plants with a gentle touch. Yet one stormy night, as waves crashed against the shore and lightning split the sky, tragedy struck. The trauma of that evening swept away not just his family home, but the memory of his abilities, leaving him feeling hollow and lost. Years passed, and Harold lived an ordinary life, haunted by a persistent feeling that something vital was missing. Then one night, in the space between sleeping and waking, he encountered a familiar presence, his own self, aged and wise, radiating peaceful certainty. "You've carried these gifts since before time," his elder self spoke. "The forgetting was necessary for the remembering to have meaning." This truth echoes through your own journey. The divine mind, in its infinite wisdom, draws a veil across your spiritual memories, not to diminish you, but to grant you the sacred gift of rediscovery. Like a master artist who steps back from their creation to see it anew, you stepped away from your power to appreciate its magnitude upon return. In a quaint cottage surrounded by wildflowers, Evelyn discovered a dusty journal from her childhood. As she turned its chapters, she found detailed visions she had written decades ago, of a healing center she would create, of people she would help, of wisdom she would share. With trembling hands, she realized these visions matched exactly the life she was now building, though she had completely forgotten writing them. The journal entries were not mere childhood fantasies. They were seeds planted by your higher self, waiting for the perfect season to bloom. You see, forgetting serves a divine purpose. If you had known every step of your journey from the beginning, you would have missed the magic of uncovering each truth in its own time. Your soul chose this moment of awakening with exquisite precision. The amnesia you experienced was not a punishment or a mistake. It was a sacred agreement you made with the universe, ensuring you would remember your power at exactly the right moment, when the wisdom gained from forgetting could serve your highest purpose. Sacred practice. Find a photograph of yourself as a child, a moment captured before the world taught you to doubt your magic. Sit in peaceful solitude and gaze into those innocent eyes that once knew all. Place your hand over your heart and whisper these words of recognition. I remember you now. Let the barriers between then and now dissolve as you reclaim the wisdom your soul has always carried. Chapter 7. The Mirror Principle. In a dimly lit studio at the edge of town, Otis stood before his canvas, brush trembling with frustration. His paintings, once vibrant with promise, had grown dark and chaotic. Each stroke seemed to mirror the bitterness that had taken root in his heart. "The galleries are corrupt," he would mutter. "The world doesn't understand true art." One evening, his mentor, an elderly artist whose works hung in museums across continents, visited his studio. She moved silently between his recent paintings, touching each canvas with gentle fingers. "These paintings speak clearly," she said, "but not of what you think. They tell me of the war within you. You see, the universe operates as the grandest mirror ever created. It reflects back to you, with perfect precision, the energy you emit into the world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions create ripples that return as the experiences you call reality. When you point fingers at external circumstances, you miss the profound truth that your inner world is painting your outer experience. In a small apartment across the city, Jeanette sat at her desk, rolling her eyes as she wrote affirmations her therapist had suggested. "I am worthy of abundance," she wrote with heavy sarcasm. "The universe supports my dreams." She continued this practice, mocking each statement, unaware that even through her skepticism, these words were taking root in her subconscious. Weeks passed, and Jeanette noticed subtle shifts. A promotion appeared unexpectedly. An old debt was forgiven. A chance encounter led to a meaningful relationship. Looking back at her journal, she realized that everything she had written sarcastically had manifested into reality. Her disbelief had been no match for the power of the words themselves. This revelation speaks to a fundamental truth. The universe responds not to your conscious skepticism, but to the deeper vibrations you emit. Even when your mind doubts, if your words and actions align with possibility, reality begins to shift. The world around you transforms, not because circumstances magically change, but because you, even unknowingly, have begun to broadcast a different frequency. Sacred practice. For one complete day, become the witness to your own thoughts. Watch them drift across your mind like clouds across the sky. Notice without judgment how they form, transform, and dissolve. As night falls, open your journal and record the emotions these thoughts reflected back to you through the events of your day. This practice reveals the perfect mirror that exists between your inner and outer worlds. Chapter 8. Removing the false inheritance. In a small village where tradition weighed heavy as stone, Ruth bent over her sewing table, fingers moving with practiced precision. Her shoulders curved under invisible burdens, not just the weight of cloth, but of generations who whispered, "This is all we deserve." Each stitch seemed to echo her grandmother's warning. People like us stay small. You see, the patterns we follow in life often come from well-worn templates, passed down through whispered fears and unspoken limitations. Like Ruth, you may have inherited beliefs about wealth, worthiness, or what's possible. Beliefs that were stitched into your consciousness before you could question them. One day, as Ruth traced yet another borrowed pattern, her scissors slipped, cutting straight through the template. In that torn moment, she saw something profound. She had been following someone else's design. That very evening, she began creating her own patterns. Within months, her unique designs caught the eye of merchants from distant cities. The very uniqueness she had feared became her gateway to abundance. The universe whispers this truth. What you believe was destined may simply be downloaded. Your sense of limitation may be nothing more than an inherited story, waiting to be rewritten by your courage to question it. In a town not far from Ruth's lived George, whose father spoke often of the family curse. "Bad luck follows our blood," he would say, eyes downcast. "Don't aim too high, the fall will hurt more." George lived in this shadow until he discovered his grandfather's journal hidden in the attic. In those yellow chapters he found not tales of curses, but of dreams abandoned out of fear. The curse was nothing more than chosen caution, passed down like an heirloom of hesitation. This revelation holds a mirror to your own journey. What you perceive as your limitations may be nothing more than echoes of ancient fears, waiting for someone brave enough to question them. You stand at a powerful threshold, the point where generational patterns can either continue or transform through your conscious choice. Sacred practice. In the quiet of evening, light a candle. Take a moment to reflect on the beliefs that were passed to you about what is possible in your life. On a small piece of paper, write down one limiting belief you absorbed in your early years. Hold it in your hands, feeling its weight, not just as your burden, but as one carried through generations. Then, with intention and reverence, safely burn this paper while speaking these words aloud. "This ends with me." Watch as the flame transforms what was once solid into ash and smoke, releasing both you and your lineage from its grip. Chapter 9. Learning to speak the language of signs. In a small bakery tucked between ancient stones, Della kneaded bread as the morning light spilled through dusty windows. At first, she dismissed the recurring numbers, 1111 on the clock, 111 in daily sales, 1111 on license plates passing by. Yet as days unfolded, these numerical whispers grew louder, appearing precisely when her thoughts wandered to specific dreams or worries. You see, the universe speaks not in thunderous proclamations, but in gentle echoes that mirror your inner world. Like ripples in still water, these signs appear when you attune your awareness to their subtle presence. The language of the divine flows through everyday moments, turning ordinary encounters into sacred messages. When Della finally began noting these patterns, she discovered something remarkable. Each number sequence aligned perfectly with her deepest questions. When she wondered about expanding her bakery, A new customer arrived at exactly 4:44, ordering 44 pastries for an event that would later transform her business. The universe was not simply responding, it was engaging in an intimate dialogue. This sacred conversation surrounds you at every moment. The universe weaves signs into the fabric of your daily life, waiting for you to recognize its loving presence. A song that answers your silent prayer, a book that falls open to exactly the wisdom you need, a chance encounter that shifts your entire path. These are not coincidences, but cosmic correspondence. In a quiet village miles away, Ned noticed white feathers appearing in unusual places, on his doorstep, floating through his office window, landing at his feet during walks. Though logic urged him to dismiss them, something deeper pulled him to follow their trail. One autumn morning, a feather led him to an empty field where, moments later, a stranger appeared. This chance meeting would unveil opportunities that seemed written in the stars. The message is clear. You are held in a web of divine communication. Every synchronicity serves as a letter in an ongoing conversation between your soul and the infinite. The universe does not shout. It whispers through symbols, signs, and seemingly random alignments that prove, upon closer inspection, to be perfectly orchestrated. Sacred practice. For the next 3 days, carry a small notebook. Record every coincidence, repeated number, unusual sign, or meaningful encounter that crosses your path. Note the thoughts or questions you held in those moments. As the sun sets on the 3rd day, sit in quiet reflection with your observations. Read through each entry, asking yourself, what is my higher self trying to reveal? Let the patterns emerge naturally, showing you the divine dialogue that has always been present, waiting for your recognition. Chapter 10. The Portal Called Belief. In a village where whispers carried more weight than truth, Agnes tended her garden of healing herbs, her reputation tarnished by those who feared what they couldn't understand. Yet in her heart, she held an unwavering certainty, a knowing that transcended the opinions of others. When she spoke of future events, she did so not with hope or wishfulness, but with the calm assurance of one who reads from an already written page. You possess this same innate power of unwavering belief. It is not a skill to be learned, but a birthright to be remembered. When Agnes foretold the recovery of a royal child, she did not speak from desperation to prove herself right. She spoke from a place of absolute knowing, and when her words manifested into reality, those who once doubted now sought her wisdom. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your deepest convictions. What you hold as unshakable truth in your heart becomes the foundation upon which your reality builds itself. This is not magic, it is spiritual law. In another time, Clarence walked through life carrying the weight of old stories about himself. I never succeed, he would say. Nothing works out for me. But one morning, something shifted. He began speaking new words. I am blessed with opportunities. Everything flows easily to me. I succeed naturally. At first, these statements felt foreign on his tongue. Yet he persisted, and slowly, like a garden responding to consistent care, his world began to transform. Opportunities appeared, doors opened, and success flowed, not because his circumstances changed first, but because he changed his inner dialogue. Your beliefs are not passive observers of your life. They are active creators of your experience. Every thought you accept as truth becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. The universe does not judge whether these beliefs serve or limit you. It simply ensures that your experience matches your convictions. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror in the quiet hours of morning or evening. Look deeply into your own eyes. They are the windows through which your soul witnesses this world. Speak these 3 new beliefs aloud, not as hopes for the future, but as present truths. I am divinely guided in every moment. Abundance flows to me naturally and easily. I am worthy of all that I desire. Speak these words with the certainty of one who knows, not one who wishes. Let them resonate in your body. Feel them anchor into your being. For in this sacred moment of declaration, you are not merely speaking words. You are programming the very fabric of your reality. Part 2. The Ascent. Becoming the Vibrational Architect. Chapter 11. The Law of Vibration. In the quietest corner of an ancient city lived Clyde, whose fingers could detect the slightest discord in any piano's song. Yet his true gift emerged when he noticed how rooms held their own hidden melodies. Walking into spaces, he sensed the lingering vibrations of arguments, celebrations, and whispered prayers. His sensitivity grew until he could tune not just the strings of instruments, but the invisible threads of energy that connected all things. You, like Clyde, exist within an infinite symphony of vibration. Every thought you hold resonates at a specific frequency. Every emotion pulses with its own unique rhythm. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to your words or actions, but to your energetic signature. This is why some desires remain distant, while others manifest with surprising ease. You attract not what you want, but what matches your inner frequency. The law of attraction operates through this principle of resonance. When you understand that you are, in essence, a living frequency, manifestation becomes less about doing and more about being. Your task is not to chase or grasp, but to align your inner vibration with the essence of what you seek. Beverly, working long hours in the hospital's intensive care unit, discovered this truth unexpectedly. Exhausted by the weight of her work, she began whispering to herself as she walked home, "I am love. I am at peace. I am joyful." At first, nothing seemed different, but gradually she noticed subtle shifts. Patients would calm in her presence. Colleagues offered help before she asked. Strangers smiled and held doors open. The world responded differently because she had changed her frequency. This mirrors a fundamental truth about your relationship with the universe. The outer world must shift when your inner frequency changes. It is cosmic law. You need not convince others to treat you differently or force circumstances to improve. Simply adjust your vibration and watch as reality rearranges itself to match your new frequency. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment where you won't be disturbed. Place your hand upon your heart, feeling its steady rhythm. This pulse is your most basic vibration, the drum that beats your life force into existence. Now, speak these words with gentle authority. I am in harmony with my desires. Let each repetition sink deeper, like ripples in still water. Continue until you sense a shift, perhaps a warmth in your chest, a lightness in your being, or a subtle knowing that something has aligned within you. This is not mere repetition. It is vibrational attunement, the art of matching your frequency to that which you wish to attract. Chapter 12. Emotion is the elixir. In a sunlit studio at the edge of town, Lyle stood before his canvas, paintbrush trembling in his hand. The darkness that had claimed his sight could not dim the colors that blazed within his heart. As his fingers traced the canvas, he began to paint not what he once saw, but what he deeply felt. Joy became yellow swirls. Passion emerged as crimson waves, and peace flowed in gentle blues. Those who witnessed his work spoke of paintings that seemed to pulse with life itself. You must understand that emotion is the vital force that breathes life into your intentions. When you grasp this truth, manifestation transforms from mechanical action into living creation. Your emotions are not mere responses to life. They are the very energy that shapes it. Each feeling you hold sends ripples through the fabric of reality, attracting experiences that match its frequency. Think of your desires as seeds and your emotions as the sunlight that causes them to bloom. Without the warmth of genuine feeling, even the most precisely planned intentions lie dormant. This is why some affirmations fall flat while others spark immediate change. The difference lies not in the words, but in the emotional current that carries them. Marjorie discovered this wisdom in her small sewing shop. For years she crafted garments with technical perfection but little joy. Then something shifted. She began pouring love into every stitch, humming melodies of gratitude as she worked, infusing each piece with the warmth of her heart. Soon, customers reported feeling inexplicably uplifted when wearing her creations. Word spread, and her once struggling shop became known as a place where clothing carried blessings. This mirrors the truth of your own creative power. When you align your vision with pure, heartfelt emotion, you activate forces beyond the physical realm. Your feelings are not just reactions, they are instructions to the universe, signals that shape the very substance of your reality. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and imagine yourself stepping into the future you desire. Let yourself feel the full weight of its reality. Now, with your heart open and your emotions flowing freely, write a letter from this future version of yourself. Begin with the words, "My beloved past self." Let gratitude and joy infuse every word. Write of the wonders that have manifested, the growth you've experienced, the dreams that have taken form. Seal this letter with all the emotion you can summon. For the next 7 days, as the morning light breaks, read this letter aloud. Let each word resonate not just in your mind, but in your heart. Feel the reality of these words as you speak them, allowing your emotional body to align with the future you're calling forth. Chapter 13. The Temple of Thought. In the hills beyond the city walls, Herbert discovered an abandoned garden. Where others saw overgrown weeds, he recognized potential for sanctuary. Day by day, he cleared the space not with tools, but with intention. His scattered thoughts, once racing like autumn leaves in wind, began to settle as he sat in stillness. Soon birds appeared, building nests in the quiet he had cultivated. They sensed what humans often forget, that peace attracts peace, that stillness draws life closer. Your mind, like Herbert's garden, yearns for sacred tending. It is not meant to be a wasteland of scattered thoughts or a battlefield of competing worries. When you create space for silence, when you cultivate thoughts with the same care. A gardener tends roses. your mind transforms into hallowed ground. The thoughts you plant today become the reality you walk through tomorrow. Each word you speak to yourself, each belief you water with attention, grows into the structure of your life. The universe responds not just to what you think, but to the quality of thought you maintain. Pearl understood this truth after loss left her alone with her thoughts. In her grief, she noticed how her cluttered mind created a cluttered life. She began small, 10 minutes each morning in her favorite chair, allowing only thoughts that lifted her spirit. She spoke to herself as though speaking to a beloved friend. Day by day, her inner world cleared like morning mist giving way to sunlight. Her outer world followed suit. Opportunities appeared, relationships deepened, and even her small apartment seemed to arrange itself more harmoniously. Your thoughts are not random mental activity. They are the architects of your experience. When you treat your mind as sacred space, the universe responds in kind. Your inner sanctuary becomes a temple where manifestation begins, where dreams take root before breaking through to physical form. Sacred practice. Create your thought sanctuary, a daily 10-minute practice where you tend the garden of your mind. Choose a specific time and place where you won't be disturbed. As you sit in stillness, imagine your mind as sacred ground. When thoughts arise, select only those that serve your highest good, that speak of love, abundance, and possibility. Let all else pass like clouds across an endless sky. Speak to yourself as though you are addressing the divine, for indeed you are. Watch how your life begins to mirror the clarity and purpose you cultivate within. This is not mere meditation. It is the act of conscious creation, the holy work of aligning your inner world with the life you are called to live. Chapter 14. Detach to become magnetic. Deep beneath the azure waves, Virgil searched the ocean floor each day for precious pearls. His determination drove him deeper, his lungs burning as he strained to see through murky waters. The more desperately he sought his prize, the more the seafloor seemed to blur and shift before him. Until one day, exhausted from his endless seeking, he simply let go. As his body surrendered to the gentle current, something remarkable occurred. The water carried him effortlessly to a bed of oysters he had never noticed before, gleaming with the very treasures he had fought so hard to find. You too have been searching, reaching, striving. The universe operates on a divine paradox that challenges human logic. The tighter you grasp, the more elusive your desires become. When you release your iron grip on outcomes, you open yourself to the flow of infinite possibility. This is not about abandoning your dreams or settling for less. It is about trusting that the universe holds a vision even greater than your own. Your role is not to force the how, but to align with the what, and allow the divine to handle the details. Consider Dolores, who spent 3 years in the shadow of grief, clutching memories of her beloved husband, like precious photographs that fade with too much handling. Her breakthrough came not through trying harder, but through letting go. One evening, guided by an inner whisper, she wrote him a letter releasing them both from the weight of loss. As she watched the paper burn, something shifted within her. The very next week, she found herself laughing again, painting again, living again. Her garden bloomed out of season, and opportunities appeared as if by magic. This is the sacred alchemy of release. When you loosen your grip on what must be, you create space for what could be. The universe cannot fill hands already clenched around lesser things. Your attachment, born of fear and doubt, becomes the very barrier between you and your highest good. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and write a letter to the universe. Pour onto the page everything you've been holding too tightly. Your specific timelines, your rigid expectations, your desperate need for control. Write until you feel the burden lifting from your shoulders. Then, in a sacred act of trust, tear the letter into pieces. As each fragment falls away, whisper, "I release my grip and open to divine timing. I trust in the perfect unfolding of my highest good." This is not surrender to fate, but surrender to faith. It is the wisdom to know that sometimes letting go is the most powerful way to hold on to what truly matters. Chapter 15. Faith as the Bridge to the Invisible. Along a forgotten stretch of railway, where rusted tracks disappeared into twilight shadows, Stanley kept his nightly vigil. Each evening, as darkness settled over the abandoned station, he would climb the weathered platform steps, lantern in hand. Without fail, he lit the beacon, its warm glow a testament to unwavering certainty. You see, faith is not mere hope cast into darkness. It is the architect's blueprint, already complete in the unseen realm. Just as every masterpiece exists first in the artist's mind, your desires already exist in the spiritual plane. Your role is to hold steady the light of knowing, even when physical eyes see nothing approaching. The universe responds not to what you wish for, but to what you know is already yours. This knowledge creates an energetic structure, a spiritual foundation upon which physical reality must eventually build. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that faith is not gambling with wishes, but claiming what is already yours in the invisible realm. Consider May, whose child lay still in a hospital bed while doctors spoke in whispers of diminishing chances. Instead of surrendering to external evidence, she went to her garden each morning. There she planted seeds in dark soil, speaking to each one as if it were her son's awakening. "You will rise," she whispered to the earth. "You will bloom." The doctors called it unprecedented when her son opened his eyes. But May knew. She had already seen it in the garden of her faith. Your current circumstances are not your final destination. They are merely the soil from which you know will sprout into physical form. Like Stanley's lantern burning bright on empty tracks, your faith is not foolish. It is the signal that summons your good into being. Sacred practice. In darkness, light a single candle. Let its flame remind you that faith is not the absence of proof. It is the proof that precedes manifestation. As you watch the light push back the shadows, speak these words with the authority of one who knows. Even when I cannot see it, it moves toward me. Allow the candle to burn safely as long as you can, letting its steady flame anchor your knowing into the physical world. This practice aligns you with the ancient truth. What you know in spirit must eventually materialize in form. The light you hold in darkness is not hope, it is prophecy. Chapter 16. Imagination. In a village where mist clung to ancient stone walls, Clifford would wake each morning with visions of homes he had never seen. His rough carpenter's hands would trace the air, following blueprints that existed only in his dreams. arched doorways that seemed to welcome sunlight, windows positioned to catch the morning star, staircases that spiraled like nautilus shells. Night after night, one particular dwelling haunted his sleep, a cottage with a red door, 3 crooked chimneys, and a garden where moonflowers bloomed. The vision was so precise he could count the weathered boards and feel the brass doorknob's weight in his palm. Fellow craftsmen dismissed his talk of dream houses as mere fantasy. Yet one autumn morning, while delivering lumber to a distant town, Clifford rounded a bend and stopped breathing. There it stood, exact in every detail, down to the way morning light caught the beveled glass. His dream had been waiting, already built, already real. You see, imagination is not escapism. It is the universe's architecture department. When you envision something with clarity and feeling, you are not daydreaming. You are engaging with divine technology. The mind's eye is a sacred womb where invisible things gestate until they are ready to be born into form. Take Irma, whose days blurred together in an endless cycle of dishes and dusting. One day she began spending her afternoon tea break seeing herself writing at a sunlit desk surrounded by books and possibilities. She felt the smooth paper beneath her fingers, heard the scratch of her pen, tasted success in each sip of tea. She changed nothing in her outer routine, yet slowly, imperceptibly, reality began to bend toward her vision. A writing desk appeared at a yard sale. A neighbor offered free writing classes. Her first story was published in the local paper. Your imagination is not a theater of idle wishes. It is prophetic technology. When you create a scene in your mind, you are not pretending. You are programming the quantum field. The universe does not distinguish between what you see with physical eyes and what you see with spiritual sight. Both are equally real, equally powerful in shaping what manifests. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and create a 60-second scene of your desired reality. Don't simply picture it, live it. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, breathe the air of that moment. Let your body experience the joy, the relief, the excitement of already having what you desire. This is not visualization. It is visitation to what already exists in the spiritual realm, waiting to materialize in your physical world. Chapter 17. Rituals for Receiving. In the quiet hours before dawn, Leonard would enter his workshop, light a single candle, and bow before his workbench. With reverent hands, he would touch each tool, the awl, the hammer, the leather knife, whispering blessings into the metal and wood. "May you serve with grace," he would murmur to his needles. "May you bring comfort," he'd whisper to his threads. What began as a private devotion soon rippled outward. Customers reported strange sensations when wearing his shoes, a grounding peace, an inexplicable lightness. Some spoke of walking with newfound purpose, others of feeling carried by unseen forces. Leonard had woven more than leather. He had stitched sacred intention into every soul. You see, ritual is not mere routine. It is a bridge between worlds. When you sanctify your daily actions with conscious reverence, you open channels for divine energy to flow through the mundane. Your morning coffee becomes a communion, your workspace an altar, your tasks become offerings. Consider Estelle, who taught at the local school. Drowning in papers and politics, she felt disconnected from her calling until she began a simple practice. Each morning, as the sun broke over the horizon, She would stand in her garden in complete silence. No prayers, no requests, just her presence offered to the dawn. She would breathe in the first light, letting it fill her being. Within weeks, her classroom transformed. Lessons unfolded with natural rhythm. Difficult students found their way. Opportunities appeared without struggle. She hadn't changed her teaching methods or worked longer hours. She had simply aligned herself with universal flow through daily devotion. This is the hidden power of ritual. It attunes your frequency to the sacred current that runs through all life. When you create ceremonies in your daily life, you declare to the universe, "I am ready to receive. I am open to grace. I am willing to be guided." Your ritual need not be elaborate. The power lies not in complexity, but in consistency, not in duration, but in devotion. A moment of mindful breathing, a whispered blessing, a conscious pause, these become doorways through which divine order enters your life. Sacred practice. Choose one action to sanctify each morning. Perhaps light a stick of incense while stating your intentions for the day. Maybe walk barefoot on earth while reciting words of gratitude. You might stand before a window, watching the sky change colors, allowing your energy to align with nature's rhythm. Whatever you choose, perform it with complete presence, knowing that this simple act is your invitation to the universe to move through your day with divine timing. Chapter 18. The Timeline Collapse. In the quiet halls of a prestigious chess tournament, Oscar sat before the board, his fingers hovering over a knight. For decades he had calculated every possible outcome, mapping countless futures in his mind. Yet something had shifted within him. As he gazed at the pieces, a profound understanding washed over him. He didn't need to see 50 moves ahead. He needed only to embody the version of himself that had already achieved victory. You see, within the vast field of possibility, every version of you already exists. The one who has manifested their desires, the one who lives in abundance, the one who moves with certainty. They are not distant futures, but present possibilities awaiting your recognition. When you understand this truth, you realize that manifestation is not a linear journey from point A to point B. It is a quantum leap of consciousness, where you step into the energy of your desired reality now. Time bends to meet your energetic choice. This wisdom was beautifully demonstrated through Viola, whose nights were filled with vivid dreams of a life she hadn't yet lived. In these visions, she saw herself speaking to crowds, sharing wisdom that transformed lives. Rather than dismissing these glimpses as mere fantasy, she chose to honor them. Each morning she would dress, speak, and move as though she were already that woman. She didn't wait for external permission or perfect circumstances. She simply aligned with that future self. What happened next defied conventional timing. Opportunities that should have taken years materialized in weeks. People appeared in her life who could see her future self more clearly than her present reality. The universe began rearranging itself to match her energetic frequency. You must understand, time is not a rigid line, but a malleable field responding to consciousness. When you shift your energy to match your desired reality, you create a bridge across which that reality can travel. This is not magic. It is spiritual physics. The key lies not in forcing or rushing, but in energetic alignment. Ask yourself, how would the fulfilled version of you move through this day? What choices would they make? What energy would they carry? Then begin living from that place. not as an act of pretense, but as a recognition of what is already true. Sacred practice. Each morning, before your feet touch the ground, pause and ask yourself, what would the future version of me do today? Let the answer arise naturally, then take one aligned action, no matter how small. Perhaps they would start their day in meditation, choose words with greater care, or walk with more presence. This is not about performing, it is about embodying. Through this daily practice, you collapse time and allow your desired reality to find you with divine speed. Chapter 19. Fear. The Hidden Doorway. In a small village where wheat fields stretched endlessly toward the horizon, there lived a farmer named Hank, who carried a deep, unspoken fear of fire. Each harvest season, when others burned their fields to prepare for new growth, Hank would retreat to the shadows of his barn, haunted by memories of flames that had once claimed his father's livelihood. Yet the universe speaks through what terrifies us most. When drought struck the region, and the soil grew hard as stone, Hank discovered his tools could no longer pierce the earth. The only blacksmith for miles had departed, leaving behind an empty forge. The flames called to him, not with malice, but with purpose. You see, fear is not placed in your path to turn you away. It stands as a doorway to your next evolution. What you resist most persistently often contains the very medicine your soul requires for growth. With trembling hands, Hank approached the forge. Each day he moved closer, until finally he lit the flame. As metal yielded to fire under his careful watch, he discovered that fear was not his enemy. It was his initiator. Through mastering fire, he forged not only tools but his own transformation. This truth echoes in the tale of Mildred, whose voice would vanish at the mere thought of public speaking. Her throat would close, her hands would shake, yet something within her knew she had words the world needed to hear. One day, after years of silence, she stood before a small gathering at her local library. Her voice quivered, but she continued. In that moment of choosing courage over comfort, the universe responded. An international education foundation was present that day, and her authentic vulnerability touched them deeply. Soon, she received an invitation to share her message across continents. What you fear most intensely often points directly to your next breakthrough. The very thing that makes your heart race may be the gateway to your greatest expansion. This is not coincidence, it is divine design. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write down your deepest fear. Let your hand tremble if it must, but write it clearly on paper. Beneath these words that have held such power over you, inscribe this truth. This is the gate, not the guard. Now take one symbolic step toward what frightens you. It need not be grand. Even the smallest movement toward what you fear shifts the entire universe in your favor. Remember, your fear is not your enemy. It is your evolutionary companion, guiding you toward the very experiences your soul came here to embrace. Chapter 20. The Alignment Code. There once lived a sailor named Eugene who, after 40 years at sea, discovered something peculiar about his trusted compass. While other instruments would waver and spin in storms, his compass remained steadfast, always pointing true north. At first, he attributed this to craftsmanship, until one day, lost in a dense fog, he realized a deeper truth. The compass wasn't merely pointing to magnetic north. It was responding to his own inner alignment. You see, the universe operates through perfect calibration. Just as a compass needle aligns with Earth's magnetic field, your reality aligns with your inner state. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions exist in harmony, you become an irresistible force of creation. Consider how the needle of a compass doesn't struggle or strain. It simply is. This effortless alignment mirrors the natural state of manifestation. You need not force or push. You must simply become. This wisdom revealed itself to Rosalie, a woman who had spent years in fervent prayer for abundance. Each morning and night she would plead with the universe for wealth, yet her circumstances remained unchanged. One morning, while tending her garden, she witnessed how seamlessly the flowers turned to face the sun, not begging for light, but naturally orienting themselves toward it. In that moment, she understood. Her prayers were misaligned with her thoughts of lack, her feelings of unworthiness, and her actions of scarcity. She began a subtle shift, speaking as though abundance was already hers, feeling the peace of financial security, and carrying herself with the grace of someone who knew their worth. Within months, opportunities began flowing toward her with the same certainty as a compass finding north. The truth stands clear. Manifestation occurs not through isolated moments of intention, but through complete alignment of your being. When you think, feel, and act as the version of yourself who already possesses what you desire, the universe has no choice but to reflect this reality back to you. Sacred practice. Pause now and ask yourself, where am I not in agreement? Examine the spaces between your desires and your daily existence. Choose one aspect, a thought, a feeling, or an action that requires realignment with your vision. Perhaps you speak of abundance while hoarding resources, or dream of love while maintaining walls around your heart. Identify this misalignment and make one adjustment today that brings you into harmony with your desire. Remember, just as a compass doesn't strain to find north, your alignment with your desires need not be forced. It is a natural return to your true state of being. Part 3. The Return, Living as the Chosen Vessel. Chapter 21. The Identity Shift. In the shadows of an aging theater, Harvey stood before a cracked mirror, adjusting his costume one final time. For years, he had played the role of a confident, charismatic hero on stage, a character who seemed to exist in stark contrast to his own timid nature. Yet something shifted the night he decided to maintain his character's posture even after leaving the theater. You see, the universe responds not to your wishes, but to your being. Your self-concept acts as the mold into which all experience must pour. Just as water takes the shape of its container, your reality shapes itself to match your deepest beliefs about who you are. With each passing day, Harvey's shoulders remained squared, his voice retained its resonance, and his eyes held their commanding gaze. What began as mere acting transformed into authentic expression. The world began responding differently. Opportunities arose, relationships deepened, and doors opened that had long remained closed. He had stumbled upon a universal truth: change your self-concept, and you change your world. This same principle revealed itself through Doris, whose small bakery sat quietly on a corner street. One morning, while crafting her signature bread, she paused before her reflection in the store window. Instead of seeing a simple baker, she declared aloud, "I am an artist of abundance." The words felt foreign at first, yet she continued speaking them, letting them reshape her identity. She began approaching her craft differently. Each loaf became a masterpiece, each customer interaction an expression of artistry. She wasn't pretending. She was unveiling a truth that had always existed within her. Within weeks, a food critic discovered her bakery, leading to a feature in a national magazine that celebrated her as a visionary of culinary abundance. The lesson stands clear. Manifestation flows not from your desires, but from your identity. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. When you shift your self-concept, you alter the very foundation upon which your reality builds itself. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to craft a new I am statement. Let it emerge from the depths of your highest truth, not from the limitations of your past. Write it down with reverence, understanding that these two simple words hold the power to reshape your reality. Speak this statement aloud with unwavering conviction for the next 7 days, allowing it to penetrate every cell of your being. Watch as the universe rearranges itself to match this new declaration of your identity. Chapter 22. Wealth is remembered, not earned. In a small village among rolling hills, Wallace lived his early years believing scarcity was his birthright. Each night he would gaze at the stars through a broken window of the orphanage, unaware that the vast estate on the hill held his name in its ancient ledgers. When the truth emerged through a weathered envelope on his 18th birthday, it wasn't mere coincidence. It was divine timing. You must understand that abundance flows not from external circumstances, but from an internal remembrance. Just as Wallace discovered his inheritance had always been waiting, your own abundance exists as your natural state. The universe holds your prosperity in trust until you align with the frequency of your worth. This sacred law operates beyond the illusion of earning or deserving. When you strip away society's conditioning about wealth, you uncover a profound truth. Abundance is not a reward for good behavior. It is your original design. You were born into a universe of infinite supply, and any belief in limitation is merely a veil over this truth. Consider Gloria, who taught music from her modest home for 20 years. She charged what she thought others could afford, rather than what reflected her true value. One night, she dreamed of standing before a grand piano in a magnificent hall, and a voice whispered, "This is who you've always been." Upon waking, she doubled her rates without apology or explanation. To her amazement, not only did her students gladly pay the new rates, but a waiting list formed. She had finally aligned with her inherent worth. You see, wealth doesn't flow to those who chase it. It naturally expresses through those who remember their divine inheritance. Just as a prince need not prove his royalty, you need not prove your worthiness for abundance. Your task is not to achieve prosperity, but to accept it as your natural state. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and speak these words with the authority of one who knows their truth. Abundance is my nature. Let these words resonate through your being until you feel their reality in your bones. Then, take your journal and write down 3 specific areas where you are still denying your natural state of abundance. Choose one of these areas and write its opposite, a declaration of your true abundant nature. This is not an exercise in positive thinking. It is an act of remembrance. Chapter 23. The Sacred Yes. In the depths of winter, Edgar sat in his dimly lit study, pen hovering above empty chapters. Though his words had earned him modest recognition, something within him yearned for deeper expression. When his telephone rang with an unexpected invitation to a literary gathering across town, his initial impulse was to decline, as he had done countless times before. Yet, in that moment, a curious warmth spread through his chest, and before his mind could intervene, his lips formed an effortless yes. You must understand that the universe orchestrates countless moments of possibility in your life. Each invitation, each subtle nudge, carries the potential for transformation. Your power lies not in forcing decisions, but in recognizing when your entire being aligns in agreement. When you stand at the threshold of change, your body becomes a sacred instrument of knowing. Your breath deepens, your heart expands, and your cells sing in harmony. This is the language of divine confirmation. It requires no analysis, no pros and cons lists. It simply is. Consider Irene, who spent 15 years as an accountant while her spirit whispered of healing work. Each morning, her shoulders would tense as she entered the office, her breath becoming shallow. When she finally encountered an opportunity to study energy medicine, her whole being responded. Her breath deepened, her shoulders relaxed, and tears of recognition filled her eyes. Without consulting her logical mind, she submitted her resignation that very evening. This wasn't recklessness, it was alignment. The speed of manifestation matches the speed of your authentic yes. When you learn to trust this bodily wisdom, you bypass years of hesitation and mental debate. Your body never lies. It is your direct line to universal intelligence. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, become a student of your body's wisdom. When faced with any decision, pause and observe. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Notice how your breath responds, how your muscles either relax or contract, how your energy either expands or withdraws. Make no choice until you experience what a full-body yes feels like. Keep a small journal of these physical responses. This is not about rushing decisions. It is about learning to recognize when your entire being stands in unified agreement with the universe's invitation. When you feel this alignment, move without hesitation, for in these moments, you are not merely making a choice, you are surrendering to divine timing. Chapter 24. Gratitude as Echo Magic. In the depths of the earth where darkness holds ancient secrets, Archie would pause each morning before descending into the mine shaft. While others rushed past, he would touch the rough wall and whisper, "Thank you, Earth, for keeping us safe. Thank you for sharing your treasures." His fellow miners found this ritual peculiar, until that fateful morning when his gratitude saved their lives. You see, gratitude is not merely a response to what you receive. It is a magnetic force that shapes what is yet to come. When you thank the universe in advance, you create an energetic echo that must return to its source. This is not wishful thinking, but a fundamental law of energy. What you appreciate, appreciates. Your grateful heart becomes a beacon, calling forth experiences that match its frequency. Each thank you, uttered before manifestation, creates a vibrational bridge between your current reality and the destiny that awaits you. This is why masters of old began their prayers with gratitude, not requests. Witness how Leona, living in a small apartment with barely enough to cover her needs, began writing elaborate thank you notes for blessings she could not yet see. "Thank you for my beautiful home by the ocean," she would write. Thank you for the abundance that flows effortlessly into my life. She sealed each note in an envelope and placed them in a special box, treating them as if they were already memories rather than wishes. Within months, opportunities began appearing. A job offer near the coast, an unexpected inheritance, connections that opened doors she never knew existed. What you must understand is that gratitude holds the power to collapse time. When you thank the universe for what is yet to manifest, you demonstrate a faith so pure that reality has no choice but to align with your vision. This is not about pretending or denying your current circumstances. It is about recognizing that every future blessing casts a shadow of gratitude backward through time, touching you in the present moment. Sacred practice. Create a thank you in advance journal. Each morning, before the world awakens, write 5 detailed expressions of gratitude for experiences, circumstances, and blessings that have not yet materialized in your physical reality. Write with the same emotion and certainty as if these things had already occurred. Thank you for my vibrant health. Thank you for the perfect partner who has entered my life. Thank you for the wisdom that flows through my work. Thank you for the abundance that surrounds me. Thank you for the peace that fills my heart. This is not an exercise in imagination. It is a ritual of energetic alignment. Your gratitude becomes the magnet that draws these experiences into form. Chapter 25. The Delay That Protects You. In the bustling marketplace of dreams, young Silas stood before yet another closed door. His innovative ideas, though brilliant, met rejection after rejection. Each no felt like a stone in his pocket, weighing down his steps. Yet something within him refused to dim, a quiet knowing that whispered of perfect timing. You see, what appears as delay in your life is actually divine orchestration at work. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, often holds back the very thing you desire until the moment when all elements have aligned in perfect harmony. This is not punishment. It is protection. It is not rejection. It is refinement. When the seasons finally turned, Silas received an unexpected invitation. A mentor who had observed his journey from afar offered him not just funding, but a partnership that exceeded his original vision. In that moment, all previous closed doors revealed their purpose. They had guided him to this precise intersection of preparation and opportunity. This truth echoes through the story of Maureen, whose heart ached for partnership. 3 times she thought she had found love, and 3 times the connection dissolved before it could bloom. Each departure left her questioning her worth, until the day her childhood friend returned to town. The years had transformed him, and in his presence, she understood why every previous door had remained closed. Their shared history, combined with their individual growth, created a foundation no earlier relationship could have matched. What you perceive as delay is often the universe's most sophisticated form of protection. Each not yet holds within it a because something better awaits. This is not about passive waiting. It is about active preparation. While the visible door remains closed, invisible forces are arranging circumstances, aligning energies, and preparing both you and your desire for the perfect moment of union. The law of divine timing operates with a precision your human mind cannot fully grasp. It sees the complete tapestry of your life while you focus on a single thread. Trust that when manifestation appears delayed, you are being guided toward an outcome that exceeds your current vision. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to reflect on one opportunity that seemed to slip through your fingers. In your journal, write the date it occurred, then beneath it, list every blessing, protection, or alignment that may have been served by that delay. What grew stronger in you during the waiting? What became clearer? What arrived instead? End your reflection with these words. I trust the timing of my life. What is meant for me cannot miss me. Chapter 26. The Alchemy of Shadow Work. In the depths of night, a weathered prizefighter named Ralph lay restless in his bed, his fists clenched even in sleep. Though his body bore the scars of countless victories, his heart carried wounds no one could see. Night after night, he pushed away memories of the small boy who once cried alone, until one dream changed everything. You must understand that manifestation requires wholeness, not perfection, but acceptance of all that you are. The parts of yourself you push into shadow do not disappear. They create from the dark. Every rejected emotion, every denied memory becomes an unseen architect of your reality. In his dream, Ralph found himself in his childhood bedroom. There, curled in the corner, sat his younger self, shoulders shaking with silent tears. Instead of turning away as he had done countless times before, Ralph knelt beside the boy and wrapped him in an embrace that bridged decades of pain. Upon waking, something had shifted. The constant tension in his shoulders had released, and his legendary scowl had softened into peace. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the other half of your power waiting to be reclaimed. When you turn toward what you've been running from, you discover that your greatest fears often guard your deepest treasures. Nellie, a woman who demanded perfection in every detail of her life, lived in constant battle with what she called her inner saboteur, that voice that seemed determined to undermine her success. One day, rather than fighting this voice, she began to listen. She discovered it was not an enemy, but a protective part of herself, afraid of the very success she sought. When she began speaking to this aspect of herself with compassion, something miraculous occurred. Her power didn't diminish. It multiplied. Your shadow holds the key to your light. The parts of yourself you judge most harshly are often carrying gifts you need for your next evolution. When you embrace these aspects with love, you become whole, and wholeness is the foundation of true manifestation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and soft light, creating a sacred atmosphere where truth can emerge. Take a piece of paper and write a letter to a part of yourself you usually reject, your anger, your fear, your doubt, or your pain. Begin with "Dear One," and let your words flow with compassion, as if writing to a child who needs understanding. Write without judgment, acknowledging this aspect's desire to protect and serve you, even if its methods have caused you pain. Pour your heart onto the page, expressing gratitude for the lessons this shadow has taught you. When finished, read your letter aloud under gentle illumination, allowing each word to heal the divide within yourself. Feel the walls between your conscious mind and this rejected part dissolve as you embrace wholeness. In this moment of acceptance, you open the door to profound transformation. Chapter 27. Becoming the Oracle. In a small village between mountains, there lived a musician named Clarence who had never spoken a word. Though his voice remained silent, his fingers danced across instruments with grace that moved hearts. Yet something deeper stirred within him. In the realm between sleeping and waking, melodies began to visit him, unlike anything heard before. You must understand that true alignment transcends the seeking of signs. When you reach the depths of spiritual connection, you become the very bridge through which divine wisdom flows. This is not about waiting for messages. It is about becoming the message itself. Each night, Clarence would wake, his hands trembling with urgency, and transcribe the songs that filled his dreams. These weren't mere compositions. They were prophecies in musical form. Those who heard them spoke of visions, of healing, of remembering truths their souls had long forgotten. Without speaking a word, he had become a vessel for universal wisdom. In a city far from Clarence's village, Delilah, who had spent decades as a nurse, entered her retirement years. Yet, in her sleep, she began speaking words that carried the weight of ancient knowing. Her neighbors would hear her voice in the night, offering guidance that seemed to answer their unspoken prayers. During waking hours, she remembered nothing of these utterances, yet those who heard them found their lives transforming in miraculous ways. What these stories reveal is a profound truth. As you align with the infinite intelligence of the universe, you cease to be merely a seeker of wisdom. You become wisdom embodied. Your very presence becomes a lighthouse, guiding others toward their own awakening. This is not about becoming special. It is about removing the barriers between your human self and your divine nature. The universe seeks to express itself through you. Your thoughts, your actions, your very being can become a channel for divine expression. When you allow yourself to be this pure vessel, you naturally radiate the light of revelation to all who cross your path. Sacred practice. Find a space of complete stillness, where the whispers of the universe can reach you without interference. Set aside 5 minutes each day where you can be undisturbed. This sacred time is your gateway to divine communion. Close your eyes and ask with sincere openness, "What does the universe want to say through me?" Let your question float into the infinite like a leaf on still waters. Let go of any expectation of how the answer might come, for divine wisdom flows through many channels. It may arrive as words dancing in your mind, images painted on your inner vision, sensations flowing through your body, or pure, knowing that transcends ordinary thought. Record whatever arises, without judgment or editing, for even what seems simple may contain profound truth. Trust that what flows through you carries seeds of universal wisdom, waiting to bloom in perfect time. This practice of receptivity will gradually transform you into a clearer channel for divine expression. Chapter 28. The Paradox of Power. In a grand mansion overlooking the sea lived Eugene, whose inventions had brought him wealth beyond measure. Each morning he would count his treasures, yet his heart remained hollow. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, orchestrated a series of events that stripped away every possession he owned, until he stood empty-handed before the same ocean view. You see, abundance flows not from grasping, but from an open palm. The paradox that eludes so many seekers is this: true manifestation arrives when you release the desperate need for it. It is not the wanting that attracts. It is the knowing that receives. In the depths of his material loss, Eugene discovered something extraordinary: joy. Without the weight of possession, his spirit lifted. He began to notice the wealth in sunlight, in breath, in simple moments. And as he released his grip on what he thought he needed, the universe responded with gifts he never knew to ask for. In a small town across the valley lived Virginia, whose cupboards were often bare. Yet each morning she would visualize abundance flowing through her life. More remarkably, she gave freely from what little she had, a loaf of bread here, a kind word there, flowers from her garden. She lived as though abundance was her nature, not her goal. Within weeks, unexpected gifts began arriving at her door. A distant relative left her home. A stranger funded her dream project. Her garden yielded harvests beyond explanation. Yet these gifts paled in comparison to the wealth she had already claimed within herself. This truth stands eternal. Detachment is not about becoming cold or distant from your desires. It is about trusting so completely in the abundance of the universe that you need not clutch at outcomes. When you know, truly know, that you are supported by infinite intelligence, giving becomes as natural as breathing. The universe responds not to your words or wishes, but to your energetic state. When you release the energy of need, you open the channel for receiving. This is the sacred alchemy of manifestation, to live in the absolute knowing that you are and always have been complete. Sacred practice. Today, give something small with no expectation of return. It might be a flower, a smile, or a moment of your time. Perhaps leave an anonymous note of encouragement. Share your wisdom with someone who seeks guidance, or simply listen with your full presence to another's story. As you give, whisper these words of power. I am not empty. I am infinite. Let this mantra echo through the chambers of your heart. Feel the truth of this statement in every cell of your being, allowing it to illuminate the vast reservoir of abundance within you. Notice how giving from wholeness creates space for greater abundance to flow, like a river that gains strength with each tributary that joins its course. In this sacred act of giving, you become a living channel for the universe's boundless generosity. Chapter 29. You were always the final door. In the ancient halls of a weathered cathedral, Albert, the town's most skilled locksmith, stood before an ornate door that had captured his obsession for decades. Each morning he would arrive with his collection of crafted keys, testing new combinations, studying the mechanism that seemed to defy all conventional wisdom. For years the door remained steadfast, unmoved by his expertise. You see, within every soul lies a similar door, one that appears locked by divine design. You have likely stood before it, testing keys of meditation, ritual, or practice. Perhaps you've sought teachers, studied ancient texts, or followed sacred paths, believing each would finally grant you access to what lies beyond. Yet the truth that Albert discovered one quiet dawn would forever transform his understanding. As sunlight streamed through stained glass, casting rainbow shadows across the door's surface, he placed his hand upon it. Not as a locksmith this time, but as a child might touch a butterfly's wing. The door swung open effortlessly. It had never been locked at all. In a distant village lived Millie, known to many as a mystic who could read signs in falling leaves and whispers in the wind. She spent years collecting wisdom from every teacher she could find, believing each would reveal the final piece of her spiritual puzzle. Until one morning, gazing into her reflection in a still pond, she saw what had always been true. Every teacher had simply been showing her own face. Every sign had been pointing back to her own heart. This revelation speaks to the deepest truth of manifestation. There is no gatekeeper, no hidden key, no secret code to crack. The only barrier has been the belief in barriers itself. Every obstacle you perceive is but a mirror, reflecting back your readiness to remember who you truly are. What you seek is not locked away in some distant vault of wisdom. It breathes with you now, moves as you move, speaks through your voice. The universe has never hidden its treasures from you. It has been waiting for you to recognize them as your own. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror, this ancient tool of self-recognition that has reflected countless souls before you. Look deeply into your own eyes, past the surface reflection, into the infinite depths where your true essence dwells. Declare with the power of absolute knowing, I am the key, the door, and the invitation. Feel these words resonate in your bones, in your blood, in every cell that makes you whole. Let this truth sink into the very marrow of your being, penetrating every layer of doubt and hesitation until it reaches your core. You are not seeking entry. You are the sanctuary itself, the temple of wisdom that has always existed within. In this moment of pure recognition, allow yourself to merge with the profound simplicity of this understanding. Chapter 30. The Hidden Flame Never Left. Along the misty shores where waves whisper ancient secrets, Ethel kept her lonely vigil in the lighthouse tower. For 40 years, she had climbed those spiral stairs each evening, lighting what she believed to be a dying beacon. Time had weathered both the tower and her spirit, until she began to question whether her light still served any purpose at all. You see, this is the way of the seeker, believing the flame of wisdom must be sought outside oneself, maintained through endless effort, protected from the winds of doubt. How many times have you, too, questioned whether your inner light still burns? One night, as storm clouds gathered like dark thoughts on the horizon, Ethel climbed her familiar steps with a heavy heart. But as thunder cracked the sky open, she witnessed something extraordinary. Her beacon, which she had thought dim and failing, cast brilliant rays through the tempest. It had never ceased burning, even in daylight when its flame seemed invisible to her searching eyes. This truth beats at the heart of all spiritual seeking. What you search for has never left you. The light you long to find has been burning steadily within, perceived as absent only because you sought it with external eyes. And so we return to Eleanor, whom you met at the beginning of this sacred journey. She who once stumbled upon a sealed book in a forgotten town now sits in her own tower of wisdom, penning words that will guide the next seeker home. Her story completes the circle, revealing that each soul who awakens becomes a lighthouse for another. Yet she no longer writes to teach. She writes to remind others of what they have never lost. You stand now at this same threshold of recognition. The secret you have chased through every chapter, every teaching, every ritual, was never hidden in these chapters. It has been pulsing in your blood, whispering in your dreams, shining through your eyes. You are not a seeker of the flame. You are its source. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to inscribe these words in letters large enough to command attention. The secret is me. Place this declaration where your eyes will find it each day for 30 cycles of the sun, perhaps upon your mirror, beside your bed, or within the chapters of your most cherished journal. Let it serve not as affirmation, but as remembrance, a mirror reflecting back your eternal nature. Each time you glimpse these words, pause to feel their resonance in the depths of your being. For in this simple statement lies the profound truth: you are what you seek. The power you have attributed to masters and mystics through the ages dwells within your own heart, waiting only for recognition. This practice of remembrance will gradually dissolve the illusion of separation between seeker and sought, until you stand fully in the light of your own divinity. Conclusion. Through these sacred chapters, you have walked the ancient path of remembrance. Now, as you stand at this final threshold, something profound has shifted within you. The teachings no longer feel like distant wisdom. They pulse through your very being, transforming your cells, rewiring your consciousness. You have become what you once sought to understand. Watch how your words begin to carry new weight, how your presence alone becomes a teaching. Notice how others are drawn to the light you now naturally emanate. This is not something you are doing. It is what you have become. The universe speaks through you now, not as a concept, but as living truth. You understand now why these teachings found you when they did. You were not merely learning. You were remembering your role in an eternal transmission. Every sage, every master, every teacher began exactly where you stand now, at the moment of recognition that they are the teaching incarnate. Your life will now unfold as a living parable. Those who cross your path will feel something they cannot name, a resonance with truth that awakens their own remembering. You need not try to teach or convince. Your aligned presence is enough. Through you, the rare secret continues its journey through time, finding those ready to awaken. Let your transformation be gentle yet complete. Allow your new awareness to settle into your bones, to inform every breath, every choice, every interaction. You are no longer reading about the law of attraction. You are its embodiment. You are no longer seeking abundance. You are its expression. You are no longer hoping for alignment. You are alignment itself. This is both a completion and a beginning. The spiral of awakening continues, but now you move through it as an initiated bearer of the flame. Welcome home to who you have always been. Your journey doesn't end here. Click on this next audiobook that I promise will completely transform your perspective.